Hungry for pleasure? Discover in this episode how to use food to ignite sensual delight with Tantra somatic practices. And this is Candia Raquel, and you are at the Sensual Sessions Podcast, the place to explore sensing pleasure through your senses and moving in a way that it's free from inhibition and full of self expression. And today we have a very special guest right from Berlin, Germany. He is Florian Filtzinger. He is a somatic movement therapist and much more. Welcome, Florian. I'm so happy and honored to have you here for the second time.
Yes, Candia, thank you so much to deepen the conversation and to have the chance to be on this inspiring podcast. I hope for everybody listening, but also for us as your guests. I'm a regular follower now, and I can't wait for the next episodes to come out.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Always a pleasure to share delight with fellow colleagues and all sensualists around the world. And we were talking before we hit the record button about the event that you participated in last week, that it's the We Feast in Berlin, an exclusive
Yes.
event about celebrating food and sensuality, and you were the male somatic movement guide. And I was very curious to ask you, what kind of feast was it? Because I was wondering if it was an orgy.
Yes. And I mean, like, orgy is defined, I think, by everybody very individually. So for some people, that might have been an orgy. From my perspective, it was an orgy of senses and surprises. And when you look at the workshop or the event fully, it is especially a feast of allowing. It's allowing people to eat with their hands. It's allowing people to play with food. It's allowing people to explore, you know? Like, unless in many other workshops where you're like in a space and you're like, I'm a guest in that space. No, we really tell people this is your home for the next 36 hours. And we really invite them to get in touch with every object they find. And there's especially sensual objects put there, but also like to smell things, to listen to the sound of a fabric of a curtain. And it's a very long exercise to really connect to the space via your senses and not be like, oh, that like looks this or that, but how does it feel? How does it sense? What's the taste? And how does it, what's the sounds it makes, you know? And that is like how we're starting to get into the depth of perception rather than just looking at.
Yes, the depth of perception and knowing through experience rather than making yourself an opinion and out of judgment of what you see. And it's very interesting for me that this approach about feasting and celebrating the senses, because still a lot of people think about sensuality as something sexual because they don't have any other space rather than the bedroom and intercourse to experience pleasure. And I feel it's so important to, yes, honor that space, but understand that sensuality goes beyond arousal, and it goes beyond intimacy and the bedroom, and it goes beyond your age, your body type, and everything, because I believe that pleasure is a quality of being alive, and that we have this way of relating and knowing the world and reality through the pleasure in our senses since we were babies. And pleasure is such important for discernment, and we have really walled ourselves off from pleasure, and mostly from perception. Like, we see things, we smell things, but we filter everything through our judgments and preconceptions from our discursive thinking rather than from the raw direct experience through the senses and the body. And that's why I am so amazed of the existence of this event of We Feast, where you are encouraged to fully experience everything there, like play with the food. I mean, I'm Mexican and I eat with the hands, and I don't care,
Yeah.
and I suck my fingers and whatever. But now I get it. People in Germany, maybe they are not used to grabbing food with the hands or having like that colors and stuff. So I'm curious to know, when was your first experience with food in this way? Maybe you, since you were a baby, you have always been playing with food. I don't know, but perhaps you, as a German man, has have another experience.
I wanna add something though, what you just said about the judgment and everything. Yes, there is the judgment of ourselves, but I think especially the judgment of others. And what I said about that the feast is a feast of allowing, you know? Like there is so many impulses or like ideas that we might have about like a candle or like even like kids, they want to touch a flame, and they will understand you better don't do that, but
Yeah.
that's how they learn it, and like but and then we have so many intentions like when we see a plant or when we whatever we encounter with. But the question often is, can I do that? Is that up to the rules? Can I behave like that? And I think that's where so much creativity gets lost. And curiosity, creativity, and allowance is really things that if you give that to a group of 40 grown-up people and you build them the most beautiful buffet, and nobody wants to touch it because it's literally handcrafted by three chefs for like days. It looks so beautiful, you don't want to destroy it. And then like, but you have to destroy it for the next course to come, And then like once that first person grabs into a cake and eats it with his hands because there is neither plates nor anything, the allowance kicks in and people become so playful. And the playfulness is so out of our at least mine often, and I would say I'm a rather open person, like I'm really behaving in the protocols that I'm taught. Then we're saying like as a German man, so like you don't play with food. I don't know if that's also something that you hear, but as long as you're not wasting it, and as long as you're becoming creative, I think it's the most beautiful thing to make food eating playful.
Yes. Yes, and like it's something natural, because when you see kids, even at the McDonald's, they are playing with food. They are arranging things, and we all know that a great strategy to make little kids eat their vegetables is to make an adornment with the vegetables so they have like the face of a teddy bear or something. So it's more enticing and more interesting. So it's fascinating how there's like an embodied understanding of the experience of delight
Yeah.
by self-feeding, that it's not only something that you taste, it's something that you see, like you see the shape of the teddy bear with the vegetables, and you all, when you're eating with the hands, or even if you are using like a fork or something, if it's crunchy and or it has a squishy texture, or when you cut it with a knife it makes you feel something, so you are involved in the sound of crunchiness. Sometimes when I eat potato chips, I imagine that I am eating bones, like my caveman women self like feels very happy, like
Yeah.
their bones, or some gummies that like they are actually made of cartilages.
Yeah.
So something that troubles me a little bit that you mentioned in our personal conversations
Mhm.
is the tantric aspect of becoming one with the food. I mean, it's obvious, like we eat healthy and we get healthy skin, and we eat crap and we get overweight and a lot of problems. So we
Yeah.
are what we eat. But somehow it troubles my intellectual and civilized self, and also my biologist self. I was vegetarian for 12 years. After
Yeah.
one day that I was served a steak, I was 13 years old, and I realized that the steak was like a literal sheet of the belly of a cow, and I was shocked, like, ah, like, yeah, completely shocked, like, oh no, this is a piece of dead a piece of corpse. And then the thing got worse, and I almost got anorexic when I, as a biologist, understood that the cells of the fruits are alive. And when I eat them, they die in my mouth, squashed, and in my stomach, juices. And with the carpaccio and raw meat, like, I more or less can handle eating meat, or when I get like all these picky, I camouflage the food. I make
Yeah.
tacos, and then it's a taco, it's not a piece of dead animal. But I am fascinated by you not having this problem and having even a deeper view. So, can you say something about that?
You know what I
Comment one with the
what I can say, by the way, the We Feast events are all vegan. Okay.
yeah, okay.
Uh, but no, I've been a vegetarian myself for many many years. In my teenage years to my early 20s, and then in my case, actually, it was a really like over grilled sausage on a grill in the night after some beers that like got me back into eating meat. But I can eat a sausage, or let's stick with a steak, and I can just like embrace its taste and the seasoning and everything. But I can also really connect to the animal, becoming maybe also from the tantric perspective and the energetic perspective, not only connecting to the taste, connecting to the lifetime it took for that meat to grow, having gratitude for that animal that has given his life not on a voluntary base, but that has been grown for me to eat this. You know, the people who invested in that animal to be alive, the entire concept of like growth and interconnectivity and connecting to any kind of meal from that perspective. That a carrot, it took time to grow. It took either the chance of rain or somebody watering it. It took somebody being transporting it. And that is like that is one way to connect to food differently. But a very different one is, which we are also using in the clinic I'm working at, is just really the key of slowness. You know, not taking a box of pralines and wow, shoving them up your mouth. Sometimes that's exactly the right thing. I've done it. Probably you've all done it. You know, not eating a full bar of chocolate or not drinking the full bottle of sparkling wine, champagne, or juice. Just really going with like really being slow. And a big part of the feast is also feeding each other and being fed, you know?
Oh,
And by like taking that layer of really receiving your food as a gift curated by somebody else, you know, depending on how big the dishes are. And I love animals and I love animal. There's a big zoo in my head, I think, all the time. So I'm like, okay, like just imagine you're a shark and give me a shark bite. You know, so I don't just feed somebody. I tell them like, hey, okay, like be like, allow yourself to be playful again, to connect to your animalistic self, you know, and then like open that jaw, not be like like no, that jaw has capacity to open, you know, open your mouth.
rawr.
Yeah,
Yeah.
roar. And like seeing from that perspective that like yes, on a biological physiological level, like if I am consuming a banana, a steak, it transforms into my body. Um, so does a sip of water, but just like really consciously connecting to the food you're perceiving, not only by your senses, but also saying like literally like with like appreciating where it comes from and giving it the appreciation that it deserves without making it all be like again like a spiritual protocol. No, but just being aware what you're eating, that it comes from somewhere and it is going to nurture your body. And as you said, either then there's different kinds of foods. Some are going to give us pimples and make us like maybe not the healthiest us, and others are really going to give us the nutritions. And understanding that a carrot is more than a carrot, a steak is not from the supermarket, really connecting to the time somebody invested to bring it there, to have it grown or have it slaughtered in the other case, and seeing the bigger picture.
Yes, and I connected with the sense of appreciation of all the food and all the living beings that have sustained me along my 43 years of life. I mean, those are huge areas of ground and a lot of trees for the vegetables and a lot of trees with their fruits and a lot of cows with their milk because I love cheese and also a lot of animals because I resumed eating meat. So it's like now like I got in touch with the image of the volume of life that I have eaten that has sustained me, and that's where like I am
Yeah.
not taking for granted my body and my flesh. This flesh is made from cows and apples and carrots. And now I want to cry because I am feeling so grateful. And at the same time, I am feeling a real sense of wilderness in me.
Mm.
Almost like, the sunyata in Tibetan Buddhism, that is the emptiness, that there is no fixed self. Like, yes, you are you and you have your name and etc., but you are always changing and you cannot hold on to a fixed being because you are not fixed. You are breathing and like physically changing. And now I got in touch with my selfless self, and at the same time in an utmostly embodied way. So it's
Mm.
not like Tibetan emptiness that like, yeah, I am a cloud of energy. No, I am flesh and bones. But it's almost as if I can feel all the animals running within me, and the plants and the sun and the rain, and I am feeling a kind of divine pride in my body, in my currently chubby body, because I am like 6 kilos overweight because I have been eating a lot of delicious fattening food. And I am always like a little bit self-conscious, no, because of my background as ballet dancer. That, oh no, you are so fat, or you are out of shape, or you are too skinny, or whatever. And now I am like, fuck that. Like,
Are you think in a sense where
respect. Yeah.
if I may jump in, because what you're saying is like even when you're like having when like we all might have those falls when we're like either like a bit too big or we're like not enough, like we all are like juggling these concepts in us. And if you consider to the mention before that like all those nutritions, those foods are gifts by
Yes.
life to us, and we consist out of them. How much appreciation can we carry if we are already so full of judgment and like and being like not allowing, and like not enjoying, embracing the food?
Yeah.
And how much respect is that to the, if you're a meat eater, life that was taken from that animal to be there for you to nurture you, Like, aren't you breaking the deal somehow?
Yeah.
Aren't you
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
And yeah. almost now I'm feeling almost as if it was something unholy. Like, I mean, that avocado gave its life, or the pig gave its life because I use its lard to cook, and now I am a little bit overweight. And now I am complaining of being a little bit overweight when that animal like gave
Yeah.
away its life. It's like, don't fucking be ungrateful, no? And still, like, when you're eating and you know that you're eating something that is not very healthy, but still, like decide as a consenting adult that you're gonna go for the experience, and if you're gonna go for the experience to its last consequences. Like, if you're eating the full box of chocolates, the part of the experience is also to be a little bit chubby. Or if you're going like super vegan detox juice, well, part of the experience is gonna be like you're gonna get dizzy, but you because you don't have enough calories, but that's your choice. And really, like, really be the authority in your life and really choose for yourself. And when you're dealing with the aftermath, understand that it's part of the aftermath. And it's like, now I'm really feeling relieved and completely unpreoccupied about my love handles and my
Hmm.
chubbiness. And at the same time, I am feeling fully confident. It's almost as if I like really feasted on what I already eaten. It's not just stuffing, not just having stuffed myself with that, but in this moment, I feel that I, through gratitude somehow, created an openness to really receive the life transferring. And it's also like, don't take life for granted, because we are not photosynthetic beings. We depend on other beings. And as raw and wild as it is, it's a sensual experience of pleasure, of feeding, of staying alive, and also a sensuality of communion, of becoming, of oneness. How do you experience this oneness?
Like before I enter into the oneness, and it can be a nice bridge then coming back to the
Yeah.
oneness. It really is what you said, that you experience the synchronicity in in gratitude, but also awareness that like you were not grateful, and that both can exist in you at the same time. That expansion of capacity. And for people who might not know that, Tantra best translates into English as expansion. you know and understanding is like, okay, maybe I should not go to McDonald's and eat 5 cheeseburgers, but sometimes it's exactly the right thing.
Yes. Yes.
And then don't do it with guilt, being like, no, be fully there, as you
Be
said, and
fully
just
there.
like eat those cheeseburgers, you know but at the same time be aware that it might not be the most environmental friendly restaurant, da 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 da, but don't let that overcome you. And on the other side, I think what our society really needs is also stopping to not be aware of what our consumption does. And that exactly is like the what you said, the amount of food you've been eating over a lifetime. And like same with me, but once you get aware of that, like how much it took on literally biomaterial or like nutritions and everything to make it 43. I'm 37 now, you know, and then like connecting to all that has been there and what impact we leave into the world and what decisions we make. And when we make a decision, how are we eating that food? Are we just consuming it, or are we having a consciousness and a certain amount of gratitude? And maybe this being conscious about that your food, or like also a person that's across you, also took all that food and all that amount and all those farmers and all that time they didn't spend with their families because they were working to farm the food. And like all that comes in one together. And then we are not really separated anymore because our impact becomes and our choices, but also our current situation, especially the situation, can become a celebration. It's like, and if we are going or if we're approaching any sensual experience from that point, what else can be there than pure, like a part of you crying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all those ingredients, like all those moments, the table somebody, you're sitting, like if you're becoming fully aware. Yeah. And that's probably not always possible, but that is why we're making such events.
Yes.
To remind people that like if you are really connecting and you're like changing the shift for a little while, it can really be the seed to have a more pleasurable life.
Yes. Yes. The seed to a more pleasurable life. And it's a seed that it comes so natural to us to nurture because we are eating anyway. We so why wouldn't we feast in the opportunity of celebrating what brings us life instead of just consuming? So it's like,
What really gives us the energy to be doing everything else. Yeah.
yeah, and like, yeah, I feel like I am becoming fluorescent from within or something. I am liking this very much because it's beautiful and it's raw and it's humbling at the same time that it gives us pride. Like sometimes our ego is less of an Elvis Presley ego and it's more like a cockroach ego that I identify myself with the worst cockroach in the world. So now I am special because I am the worstest from the worst. But when you are thinking of yourself in a self defeating way, to start with, it means that you have forgotten all of the cows or all of the apples and all of the lettuces and carrots that lived their whole life to make you physically. It's like, okay, so yes, I am myself, but I am not just myself. I am the outcome of all the circumstances that have sustained me, including my ancestors that crossed the Atlantic Ocean when weren't planes and survived wars and gave birth and fought with mammoths and these like
Saber-tooth tigers.
yeah, and it's like yeah, you wished that you could be so fucking isolated to feel bad about yourself, but you yourself it's not an isolated self, but a fortunate conglomerate of many circumstances that have sustained you. And there's like a humbleness of, yeah, you work hard, you pay your own meals and everything, but it goes farther than that. Like you can work because there is people that need you. And there comes the other part, like you are part of the system, and like this beautiful body, because now I am feeling very confident.
Mhm.
This beautiful body will go back to earth and will be the meal for the vultures to feast in.
Let's not forget, by the way, you mentioned the cockroaches as an example. The skin cells that are falling off our body all day long are food for,
The cockroaches.
yeah, the smaller ones, like the tiny, tiny insects, but they're eaten by the cockroaches. The cockroaches are eaten by the birds. The birds are eaten da da da. So there is a circle to all of it. I want to bring in and by far one of the most interesting definitions of body because you also spoke about it on different cases or like points here. What Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen said about the body in one of her latest updates was that what is the body? It is consciousness and process.
Wow. Consciousness and
It's,
process.
for me, it's one of the best definitions for body, you know? And yes, we are also flesh and bones and blood, but we are process. We are transition. The bones might stay for a very long time if well preserved, you know, but the rest, like the shedding skin, which is like falling off of us as we're speaking right now. You know, the saliva that gets produced that like gets con this is all process. Yeah.
It's all process, and I feel that understanding ourselves as living processes creates like a loving and tender openness to, like, we became more permeable, we become more open to giving and receiving, and in this way being deliberately intimate with the world, because we are already intimate. We are eating on the world nonstop and feeding the world with our dry skin and shedded skin, and with our exhalations we are feeding the trees even if we don't want to. But I
Yes.
feel that it's so important to decide, again, as a consenting adult, to make it tantric, and use each bite of each course of every meal to delight in, to practice the becoming one with the food. And this is I feel a great practice if you want to then take it into arousal and become one with your beloved, with this openness and this spirit and this practice of the body. So it's not like, okay, you're coming from the train, or I'm coming from the highway, and then you meet with your lover, or your spouse or whatever, and it's like a shock, no? Like, okay, you are another body that also is chubby or full of imperfections, and I have my imperfections. And then you get distracted from the brimming, juicy, almost magical possibility of delight that the encounter of two bodies or more offer as an invitation.
And the communication and the playfulness and the game. Yeah, with all the seriousness that it also involves, you know, that's why consent is one of the main things. Awareness, like also like always like when we're going, it's an exercise I do a lot with my one-on-one clients. It's like okay, so you're like moving by yourself, I'm moving by myself, and then like all of a sudden, or we are by ourselves, you don't even have to move, you know, but as soon as we're looking into each other's eye, there is this very fragile yet very impactful thing called a relationship in between us. And that comes with expectation, with judgment, with roles, with authority. And if we are, and that is what we are really emphasizing in people and are bringing up all day is like stay grounded in your body and then go into connection. And always when you see, because it can be so exciting, you know, you're aroused, you are like falling in love or you're having insecurities, that is all here, you know? Like especially the insecurities are mostly here in the brain area, and then just really grounding back into your body, and then from a grounded perspective go into connection, but also stay in the connection. Don't consume the other or see them as an object, see them as everything you just described, and then you're very fastly coming into the neo-tantric concepts of connection and how to engage with each other. Yes.
Yes, don't consume the other. Stay in connection. Don't, yes. And this is key for everything. Like, don't consume, connect, and become. It's it's the allowing to be yourself with others, including another living being that is the carrot. It's a living being by itself. And like there's this becoming, and also like your shedded skin cells become the body of those little animals. And we have a huge microbiome in our intestines that are bacteria, and we are a great team together. And it brings things to to another level, but not like an advanced or far away level, but almost to a primal and natural level of oneness and connection with nature, with your own nature, and with the nature of life itself and the planet. When you approach your connection with whatever with this perspective.
And then especially well, because you're just also speaking about the microbiome, something that is a big aha moment for many people. And these numbers are, I think, 3 years old. Like the amount of human cells in your body is about 30 billion. The amount of non-human cells, speaking viruses, bacteria, mitochondria, etc., is 38 billion.
How many?
38. So
38.
30 versus 38. So we are basically more not human cells than human cells, you know? And then like we have this entire microbiome, and there's beautiful continuum exercises, for example, that you can do with people, but also touch exercises, getting in touch with your digestion, you know? It's so many taboo topics in many societies. Like when I'm asking my patients as a body and movement therapist, I'm asking them, last time we spoke about like, does your steak or your vegan steak taste well? Can you taste it fully? I'm also asking people, A, if only if they want to answer about their sexuality, and if they do not have one, if it is a conscious choice, but also about their digestion. I'm asking them, it's like, hey, do you enjoy the release? Like, is that or is that, and then many are shocked because they're like, oh, that's a weird question. It's like, but I want to know your bodily experience for this world. You know, I don't want you to go to the toilet and have a party if you don't feel like it. But it's like there's even spiritual schools like the Kabbalists, you know, they have a certain prayer that they say after they have been uh, at the bathroom to thank their bodies for releasing what's not needed, you know? And
Yeah.
then like often here it's like such a huge taboo and people are ashamed of like everything that comes out of their body, or when they're brushing their nose, they're like, you know, or when they're sneezing, or when they're yawning, they don't let it out. It's one of the main things I tell my patients. It's like when your body wants to release something and you never fully yawn or you enjoy a fart. I'm sorry, just release it, you know? Like, and your body always gets inhibited in its expression, how can you expect it to be fully there for you when your mind game is expecting it to be? You know, this is where the disconnect starts. Last week I had a patient and like he burped in a group because we were doing huge stretches from Batendiev's work, you know, and he said sorry, and I said, no, please, you're allowing everyone else in the room to do it. And then we spoke about it after, and he was like, it's like, listen, how happy are you when your child burped? You literally worked for it. And then he realized himself, he's like, and you know what? 3 years after, I told him not to do it. And we all were in this like epiphany moment in the therapy session. It's like, how wicked actually are we? You know, like first we like really need things, we provoke them, but then society is like telling us like how to behave, and we're like finding ourselves in such weird paradox things. Like first we really work for a burp to come out of a child, and then when it burps, we're like, you can't do that.
Yes. It's our cultural hypocrisy. And physiological processes of health are all connected to pleasure. Burping is pleasurable. Taking a shit is pleasurable. Even vomiting, it's like, "Bleh," and then it's like, "Ah,"
Yeah.
because it's our first and foremost indicator of life, pleasure. It's how you know that you are in connection with life, that you are healthy. And when then we restrict all the connection with ourselves and the others, and we inhibit pleasure in our society on one hand, and on the other hand, we are non-stop marketed and sold pleasure. Like, if you want to have pleasure, you need to buy this coffee. If you want to have more pleasure, you gotta work hard to make money and then go to this exclusive resort on vacations or buy this expensive car or whatever. So it's like there's like this command of inhibiting innate bodily pleasure, and on the other hand, the promise that if you suffer enough, you're gonna be deserving of pleasure as long as you pay for it.
And for paying for it, you got to work for it. And the pleasure often is something you need like an allowance or a workload or a certain amount of money to have it. So it's mostly like we're the donkeys with the carrot hanging in front of our
Yeah,
heads. We're following that carrot, knowing we could grasp it, but like there is this deep functioning in us, which at times might be a very supportive functioning. But if we are actually finding pleasure in the process also and passion, which I can imagine a lot of artists are having, or people who really love what they're doing, you know, then all of life can become a pleasurable experience. Rather, breathing in on Monday, breathing out on Friday to have 2 days of relaxation where most people are so exhausted that they're just consuming media or food or party or drugs or alcohol or people, just to go back into the game on Monday to work 5 days to allow themselves. And then, as you said, the resort. And then once a year, I go 2 weeks all inclusive and I like overload myself with like those meals and those cocktails or those people, those parties. And so like if we are bringing more awareness into our lives, can't we build more balance in between that?
exactly. And like you said, by planting the seed of pleasure and nurturing through practice, when every time you eat, every time you go to the bathroom, every time you breathe, like, but I feel especially food is like a great opportunity to put the cell phone away and just at least one bite. Try to at least a single gesture of gratitude, like, okay, smell the food, the first taste, and really taste it, and then like do whatever is available to you, so it's not an imposition. But I feel that food is such a way to satiate our need for pleasure, because in a way we are starving, like the image of the hungry ghosts from Tibetan Buddhism, that they have these ghosts have a big belly that they cannot feel because they have a very skinny neck and throat, almost as, yes, we can eat what we want, we can travel anywhere and have the vacations and the car and whatever because we are lucky to have these opportunities in the world, but still we are starving.
Yeah.
We and 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 why people spend so much money in nonsense luxuries is because they are starving, I believe, for the connection to life force itself, and the
We have heard,
connection happens through pleasure. And pleasure happens by being aware of the otherness that becomes one with you.
The exactly like the Naraka, I think they're called, where they're those huge animals with an unstoppable hunger, but the mouths of a needle pin, you know? And then like the greed and that drive, you spoke about all those products that tell us about pleasure, that like tell us about refreshment, that tell us about like beauty, you know? And we're hoping that if we're like miserable, but we put that 120 years cream on our faces, we're gonna shine like Nefertiti in her best days, you know, the most beautiful Egyptian queen. Like, no, that
No,
we can't smear beauty on us, you know? We have to embody it.
yeah, we have to embody it. It comes from within, beauty and also attractiveness. And yeah, like you mentioned before, in a way, like if sometimes eating the four McDonald's burgers is what you need. Even like sometimes falling into addiction is the last resort before like doing something terrible, and it buys you time to recover so you can get back on track and relate to yourself and to the world in a more like balanced and fulfilling way. But in overall, I feel that we have this great opportunity to make feasting a practice, to make it a tantric practice of becoming one, of delighting, of receiving and being nurtured and appreciating and knowing that we have worked enough to earn our meal and letting all these food blessings, animals that give their the carrots that give their life to us to really enliven us. So when our turn comes, we can be at our fullest, showing up in the world. And I am curious if, yeah, if there's a favorite practice of you to connect with food that you could share with us.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen, I wanna thank you for bringing in the word enlivenment. You know, when I learned that word, like because it doesn't really exist in German, in my somatic ecosomatic training, basically one could say, just like really working with the concept of enlivenment, you know, that like that tree is alive, you know, like that we okay, like when we look at a goat, we see it's alive, more like hopefully, but like really also when it's then packed and in the supermarket and everything, like to be conscious about your choices and then like to understand that that is not a product. It is part of a process. Now it is in the shape of a steak. It was an animal before, it's gonna be your body after, and then it's gonna be digested, you know? And really connecting through all this. I just loved hearing this concept of enlivenment, and it is giving you life. It is enabling you to go to the job you have to do, or that is your choice, and to bring in energy and that impact, this entire oneness, wholeness is inevitable if you just connect to it. That there is the self in community and ecologically, and there is a divinity around it if you dare to believe in it. And then there is also this part that I was speaking about is the playfulness. And I think that is something that everybody can do with any kind of food. For example, one of the things that I'm saying to the people, the participants in the final circle, and I can't speak too much about the secrets of what actually happens at the events, you know. Maybe Clara might one day join you. She is the founder of the concept. But I can share with you one thing is that like really be slow. Take the watermelon, the praline, the chunk of meat, whatever, and just before you just put it in your mouth, chew it, and swallow it, just look at it, smell it, and then really play with the intersection of like smelling and scent are so connected, or like tasting and smelling, scent and tasting. Then put it in your mouth and make it dance a little. Don't just like don't be a machine, just move it around in your mouth a little, sense the temperature, sense the change of the temperature, and then play with your tongue. And then if you bite it, like connect to the juice that's running out or the crunchy sound. And then also really bite it. It's also something that the most nutritionists will tell you. It's like one of the problems people do is they swallow chunks and they don't digest them fully. It's not respectful, basically, to the nutritions. Just like take your time and then really, we did this exercise with the drinking last time, then
Yes.
follow it until you can't sense it anymore, until your body takes over and you have space for more. Yeah. And I think that exercise, if you wanna do this, just like make the food dance in your mouth. And also like especially the sensuality for many people is connected to the tongue. Yeah. And give her the chance to have a little a little moment in your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I felt almost something magical with the description of all the journey of the food that you are welcoming in your body, like from seeing it, touching it, smelling, with it in your mouth, and noticing the change of temperature, the texture, and then swallowing. And the key was like, I was imagining the whole journey, and then was like, follow it until you can't sense it anymore, until your body takes it. And it's like, oh my God, that's the moment of oneness. Because it was the chunk of watermelon with praline and jamón serrano. And like there was something from the exterior, and then like you began relating to it and dancing. But then there comes the moment where you can no longer track it down, like the moment when it's like, oh my God, this is already me. And it's the oneness. And yeah, magical is the word that I can find to describe it, but I just connecting to it, like, I have no words. It's fascinating. Let's get something to eat.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Yeah, I was like, maybe that's also like a great invitation for everyone, just like to just go and do it.
Just go and
And
do
like,
it.
and then like your beautiful word, relating with whatever you choose to eat today, and then inviting that curiosity and slowness and awareness, consciousness, however you want to call it. And I think that will change for many people the way they are perceiving. And it can be for everybody who wants to be sensual with somebody else, a beautiful exercise with another. Invite cherries, invite whatever you want to invite into your sensual play, and feed your partner or allow them to feed you, blindfolded or not blindfolded. It's yeah. Now I also feel
Yeah,
the
yeah, I already want to do that. I am dating a great guy that he loves to cook. And yeah, like I, I was like shocked in the beginning because he said, I want to cook for you. And I was like, oh my God, this is too intimate.
interesting.
Interesting. And it's like, And then I was like, I want you to feed me tacos de carnitas. And it's keeping company to the other person in their process of becoming one with the food, and also becoming moment by moment, breath by breath, and finally being together in each person's process of becoming, and also becoming one. I think this is a lovely practice to take sensuality to the arousal realms, and I am already getting nervous. I love it.
Yes, I hope you also get a bit excited.
Yes, yes.
It's okay.
Senses be praised, as the song of the Rolling Stones said. You know, sometimes we get like too much into the protocols or expectations and hierarchies, like you need to study a lot to become a master lover, or you need to get on a diet to have like a fit body or whatever, or you need to go to psychotherapy to connect with your partner and beloved. And then if you do all of that, you're gonna land here, like the therapist is gonna tell you to feed the other strawberries. And then we come to this very raw and real thing that is to put the body into it. Like, not just your credentials or your sense of like being someone accomplished, but like really bring your flesh up front, and then remember that you already know how to do it, because that's how playfulness begins, through curiosity and through full presence to pleasure.
Full breath.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So tell us, Florian, how how can we know more about your very interesting therapy sessions and guiding, feasting, and teaching?
Yeah. There's the best way, what I'm updating the most is my Instagram. So it would be at somatic.me, which is probably also in the captions after this. Also my homepage www.somatic.me me. And yeah, and hopefully soon in another episode with you here.
Yeah, that would be fantastic to meet
Yes.
in Berlin, or that you come and meet in Michoacán, Mexico. Thank you so much, Florian.
So
I am very happy to
have
have
a
you.
lovely feasting experience for everybody who is gonna join the little exercise after, and really be playful, curious, and allow yourself to play.
Yeah, sensual feasting experience. Thank you, Florian, and thank you, Sensualist. Go to Instagram and follow Florian at somatic.me in Instagram. And that's also his website, just at www.somatic.me, and get in touch with him, learn more. Also, if you haven't already, go grab the free guide to awaken sensuality at my website, which is my name, candiaraquel.com, www.candiaraquel.com. Until next time, remember to take the time to sense your fire